Good
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's 12 p.m. in Singapore, 4 a.m. in London, and 10 p.m. in Texas. My name is Teck Wee, the chairperson for Intellectual Pursuit and Lifelong Learning Subcommittee for NUSS. This is the first of a many series of our Silicon Valley Tech series, whereby we focus on the tech trends as well as the potential changes in the technological space around the world. Okay, located in the southern part of the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley serves as an international center for high technology and innovation. According to the Brooks Institution, the San Jose area has the third largest GDP per capita in the world after Zurich, Switzerland, Oslo, Norway. As of June 2021, has the highest percentage of the country of homes valued at least $1 million. San Francisco is an epi-centre for many entrepreneurial activities in the US and home to the largest names of the tech world like HP, Google, and Apple. Join us to learn about the current technology and forward trends with our speakers today. We have Lu Zhang, who is the founder and managing partner of Fusion Fund, a renowned Silicon Valley investor and serial entrepreneur. Founded in 2015, Fusion Fund has been investing early-stage deep tech and healthcare startups and currently has over 60 portfolios across the US. Lu leads Fusion team generated remarkable exits of multiple portfolios, IPO, and M&As in the past years. Lu received the title of 2018 Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum and was also recently selected as 2021 Best 25 Female Early Stage Investor by Business Insider. Before this, she got selected as Silicon Valley Woman of Influence 2018 and Forbes US 30 Under 30 and featured honoree of VC category. Ms. Zhang graduated from Stanford University with a Master's of Science in Engineering. Let us put our hands together to welcome Lu. Lu, please.
Thank you, Tag, and very glad to have this opportunity to speak with the USS community and also be able to tell you more about the innovation we're being supporting, investing, and also been following in Silicon Valley. Let me share my screen. Great. Can you guys see my screen? Tag? Okay. Assume yes. That's like no problem. Yep. Great. Guys, actually, Tag just already gave a really nice overview of Silicon Valley. As everyone knows that Silicon Valley has been the center of the innovation for all different type of technology trend. Now the good thing is not only we're seeing the new technology innovation is adopting by all this like amazing tech company in the valley, we're also seeing amazing expansion outside the Silicon Valley and the new technology being adopted across all different industry. And as Tech mentioned, you can see this is the image to show the density of the tech company in Silicon Valley with such a small communication was able to generate so many company building disruptive technology changing the world. So as Tech mentioned, I'm the founder and managing partner of Fusion Fund. We're a local VC focused on early stage investment for deep tech and healthcare. Here, just a very quick introduce of what we do as a VC. So as a VC capital, we not necessarily manage huge amount of capital compared with the PE firm, hedge fund, even mutual fund. But the power of VC is really about being the catalyst to accelerating the growth of innovation. Here are some quick metrics for your reference. So the total volume of the VC capital in the United States is only counted roughly 0.2% of US GDP. But this 0.2% of US GDP was able to invest and generate more than 20% of US GDP through their investment into the tech company. If you look at a public listed company in the stock market right now, more than 50% of them are actually backed and supported by VC capital. Another thing probably also want to show the value of VC is before VC existed, probably 40, 50 years ago, if a founder, entrepreneur want to create a 100 billion, over $30 billion company, it may take generations effort in order to make it happen. Now we see with VC support and also this catalyst of the capital, we will be able to see the company become $1 billion, even $100 billion valuation within 10 years. So that's the power of the VC, to the whole acceleration of the innovation. So talk about the acceleration that's actually happened even more in the past 2 years. On one side, the whole world was frustrated about COVID in the past 2 years. But on the other side, this COVID situation really amplified the low efficiency issue across all the industry and accelerated the digital transformation and also adoption of the new technology. The reason we saw it happen right now is not only because of COVID, it's also because as a tech investor, we saw we're going through the singularity point of technology innovation. Tons of technology, including the one you said might be frontier tech, become better, faster, cheaper, mature stage, ready for commercialization. And meanwhile, with COVID, the industry player, the potential customer, changing the mindset and also really have the sense of urgency to adopt the new technology. So we can see this huge adoption of the digital solution company. And on one side, there's historical high number of the company went to IPO. And meanwhile, we also see the time for liquidity for early stage tech investment is getting shorter and faster. And as a result, there's a new group of a VC investor like us, Fusion Fund. We emerging and grow very quickly together with our portfolio and also generate very good industry impact and also financial return. So the two main sectors got accelerated most by the COVID is really the deep tech and healthcare. And we've been investing in these two sectors since 2015. And now we have over 60 portfolio companies across the United States, with majority based in Silicon Valley and also 40% outside the Silicon Valley, with other innovation centers like Pittsburgh, Salt Lake City, and Austin. That's also another good thing about the COVID acceleration, that we see technology expanded across all different industries and be able to see innovation happening in every corner in the United States. And meanwhile, for our fund only, as I mentioned, this acceleration also show much faster liquidity events happening. For this year alone, we have 4 merger acquisitions from both Fund 1 and Fund 2. We have made many of them actually generate over 10x return of our initial investment within 3 years. And also in next year, we are seeing 3 upcoming IPO, including one company, Locomation, we invested back in 2019, and now they're making $327 million revenue, and Guard Market is making $1 billion revenue. So it's not only the growth of the valuation, it's also growth of the revenue, which really indicate the strong impact of all this tech company into the industry. So go back to what I talk about, digital transformation. When we talk about digital transformation, the fundamental concept is really about how we improve the productivity of the data. Because nowadays, for every individual, every institute, and every company, data are going to become the most fastest growing asset and also going to become super valuable digital asset for us. How we leverage technology to better protect and also storage of our digital asset, and meanwhile potentially doing much better monetization of our asset. That's really the key thing. So when people talk about digital transformation, you probably heard lots of buzzwords, AI, quantum computing, cryptocurrency, especially VC firms. Some VC firms talk about the software is eating the whole world. But when we only look at the software, we're only looking at the data processing, the last part of the digital transformation, using AI to process the data to provide the personalized services or result. But we actually have 3 different layers for digital transformation, which are equally important. The first layer is really the data collection. Data collection means the entrance of the data. How the founder could control the entrance of the data and understand the software hardware integration is very important. We have companies, for example, Optimal Dynamic, use a software hardware integration solution to provide a better efficiency tool for the logistic industry. We have companies like SafeHub. They have an IoT solution plus the AI platform to provide a whole live diagnostic of the building condition not only just understand what's going on with building the risk level, potential insurance coverage, and also they could even predict the earthquake for one of the customer in Japan recently. So that's the important part of the data collection. And now with the low-cost sensor everywhere, we also see the traditional industry integrate a low-cost sensor with their own tool and made the whole production line become the smart production line. So the second layer is really the transfer of the data. When we have huge amount of data being generated, how we really transfer the data to the cloud, be able to process it and have a much faster response. So during this process, you probably realize we have so much data, how we could guarantee the network is good enough. Probably many people would talk about, oh, we have 5G, but 5G only increased the bandwidth for us to transfer the data. We still have a very obvious data latency. So edge computing is a key technology to solve the data latency issue, and meanwhile potentially help us to solve the power consumption issue and the data privacy issue. So we're seeing great application of edge computing for different application use case. We also see great company providing solution related to data security and the data privacy. The last part is the data processing. As I mentioned, that's the buzzword. And the progress we saw, we invest in company, for example, Extern provide AI, no-code AI solution, means the user or the customer don't need to write a single line of code. They don't need to understand how to write a code. They could directly use solution like Extern to process all their data and have very insightful and also useful perspective to help them make better decisions. Same application like Huma for pharmaceutical industry, no line of code, they'll be able to quickly use the AI platform to transfer their data resources. Definitely, that's the company we invested already. There are also lots of new technology coming up very soon, going to dramatically help us better push the digital transformation. Go back to I said the first layer, the data collection part. So we're seeing new technology making new possibility for the sensor, for the type of sensor, for how we could potentially collecting the data. One key technology is the artificial skin, which is the flexible electronics. So in the future, not in the future, it's already happening, ready for commercialization. They have this sensor, it's like your skin. It's like a Band-Aid. You could attach to your skin, attach to anywhere, and it's low power consumption. It's so light, it's so sensitive. It's not only could detect all the temperature, pressure. When you cut it, they use special material. It could slowly grow back. So that's the flexible electronics. Think about the potential future use case. Not only do you just have a sensor sit on your table, you can have sensor integrated with your clothes, with your car, with your bag, everywhere. Means in the future, we could continuously collect huge amount of data. And this data going to give us very accurate response for us to make better decision. Another future technology, as I mentioned, is about edge computing. So edge computing is getting more and more mature. And related to edge computing, some new innovation we're gonna see gonna happen very soon for commercialization. It's really the next generation information platform. For example, the company we invested, Mojo Vision. So Mojo Vision is a smart contact lens. Think about the Google Glass on contact lens. The reason they were able to integrate everything in such a small device is because they have edge computing technology now. They have micro display technology now. So when you wear it, you could project everything in front of your eye. And this is now the Minority Report. They're doing military contract since a couple of years ago, and since this year, they're doing the industry application with Disney. You probably will see it very soon when you go to Disney World. So this is the kind of the quick. Actually, this the story they've been featured by the BBC News. You can see actually this is the real contact lens they've been produced. So quickly talk about digital transformation. Another trend, as I mentioned, dramatic accelerated by the COVID is really the healthcare innovation. So the difference of the healthcare innovation we're seeing right now is there are lots of new innovation try to implement the power of the data to provide better, accurate solution, which specifically relate to the aging population. So for nowadays, with all this tech innovation, especially within healthcare, we'll have more focus on the quality of life. On one side, for example, for all of us, probably more than 50% of us will live to 90 years old. And they're also talking about we live to 120 years old. Then we need to start to think about how you want to live the last 20 or 10 years of your life. It's like lying on the bed, just cure disease, or you want to still stay strong, be able to work, be able to travel, be able to hang out with your friends. That's the main thing we're focusing on investing right now, how to invest in healthcare technology to improve the quality of the life for the aging population. Another issue we are facing right now also relate to the environmental pollution and also the climate change. Whenever we have this climate change, for example, 1 degree increase of the temperature may have new virus awake from the freezing mode, like what we have right now in the COVID situation. We may have this situation more frequent in the future, then we need better technology to help us prepared to fight against all this new virus. And meanwhile, all this pollution causing much higher ratio of cancer and also younger age getting cancer across the population. So we also need better technology to predict and also be able to prevent and do early stage diagnostic of disease like cancer. The last part is really related to this polarized world. The level of the social pressure and also lifestyle changes are giving lots of mental pressure, not only to aging population, but also for the younger generation. So leads to much higher ratio of neurology disease. That's another part we see lots of new technology coming out to help us solve the problem. So I would say that at least in the United States, we have this AAA problem in the healthcare system. It's accessibility, affordable, and accuracy. Now with this new trend of bringing AI, bringing edge computing, bringing the value of the data to healthcare, we're able to be able to potentially solve this AAA problem. Some of the new trends we saw, for example, the first one is AI platform plus medical device like microfluidics. Mission Bio is a company we invested back in 2015, and they're aiming for IPO in the next 1 or 2 years. What they do is with microfluidics, they will be able to do the single cell sequencing on the very early stage cancer cell. And meanwhile, they have this AI-powered bioinformatics platform, be able to do personalized diagnostic and personalized treatment plan recommendation to help us better prevent and also early stage diagnostic of the cancer. Another thing related to the AAA problem I mentioned is really how we improve the workflow efficiency in the healthcare sector. For example, Sada Medical provides a very good example. They use AI-powered medical image enhancement technology, serve as a purely software, could integrate and sit on top of any CT machine, PET machine, and MRI machine. Then the patient could just get a low resolution, low radiation scan, then get better, faster, cheaper result, and also safer result, which also is a huge cost reduction for the hospital. By the way, Sada Medical is a company already penetrated into Singapore market as well. They got 3 FDA approval very quickly and expanded in the US and also South American market, European market. They recently just launched at the General Hospital in Singapore. And another one is Next, as I mentioned about the mental health issue, neurology disease issue. The key thing for neurology disease is really how we could find better correlation between the dementia to each person's not only genetic history, but also their lifestyle. When we find the better correlation, will be better to do the very accurate diagnostic and potential treatment plan. For example, from Next early research, they found out besides the genetic reason, actually smoking and also regular teeth cleaning have a very severe impact on potential possibility for dementia. So that would be a very good reason to quit smoking because it contributes much higher potential risk level to dementia, even compared with genetic reason. And there are also super frontier and the new technology in the healthcare sector. One of it I really want to highlight here is Nano Robot. People probably start to hear about Nano Robot when Elon Musk talk about brain-machine interface, but that's only one of the applications for Nano Robot. Simple application we saw for Nano Robot is like you could put a small robot into a pill and you swallow the pill and the robot could walk around in your stomach and try to pick up things. Now, so for example, a kid swallow a battery, it could pick up the battery and also excel the body from the natural process. And the other thing they could do, for example, they could become the nano swimmer inside the body to do different type of monitoring and also potential diagnostic. And the last one is really important is the DNA engine. When we talk about target cancer medicine delivery, we need an engine to target the cell and push everything forward. And the Nano Robot could be that DNA engine. And go back to the brain-machine interface. Actually, the initial application for Nano Robot for the brain application is not only just become the interface, it's to help recover the brain damage. For example, this company we invested, Paradomics, they're the first one and also the best technology in the industry right now, using medical implant powered by Nano Robot to recover the brain damage. The key technology of this Nano Robot is the nanofiber. The reason people have brain damage or even the neurology disease is because the neuron transmission was stopped. But what they do is using all this nanofiber, very thin fiber, to rebuild the neuron transmission. It's like have another route. Then when neurons start to transmit again, the brain part will get stimulated, and means that partially we could potentially cure the brain damage and even other neurology disease. Of course, when they got lots of funding from DARPA, they got actually close to 20 million non-dilutive funding from DARPA and Department of Defense. They also are trying on this application for normal human being. Sounds scary, but it's happening. So if you did not have a brain damage, but you have a medical implant from Nano Robot, means you have more routes for the neuron transmission, means you could process data much faster. Then you just become smarter. And with this like interface, there's also possibility to just download, transfer information from the brain to the computer in the near future, probably vice versa. Sounds scary, but it's definitely very, very interesting and also progressing very fast. The technology are have a huge impact in the healthcare sector right now. Today, we only have limited amount of time, so I just quickly go through all this interesting technology trend we saw in the deep tech and healthcare to share with you, but there's more are happening. And also there's lots of discussion around how we make sure all this new technology not only just benefit a small group of people, we also want to think about who's gonna control this technology, how we really make the technology solution benefit the whole world. So there are lots of institutes, including at Stanford HAI and other nonprofit, are talk about it. And for us as a tech investor, we always think about how we leverage technology to free the human capacity. And meanwhile, we also want to let people know what's going on in the Silicon Valley. And then if one day you have the channel, you have the choice in front of you, whether you're going to integrate with technology or not, you could make the right choice. Maybe before we even think about competing with AI, we'll have internal competition between human race. We'll have human race integrate technology already, somehow become the superhuman, and the other as an authentic human. Then by then, my question to you is, what's your choice? Whether gonna choose to integrate the technology or stay behind? This is the quick sharing I want to have today with everyone, and welcome to contact me in the future if you're interested in learning more about Silicon Valley. As Tech mentioned, we're gonna have more speaker coming up in the future to tell you more specific company innovation happening within our portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you, Lu. It's mind-blowing kind of a breakthrough technology that you have here in US.
Thank you.
Okay, let's proceed to our next panelist. Mr. Shane Wall is the partner of Fusion Fund and the president of Fusion CXO Network. He was the former CTO, Chief Technology Officer at Hewlett-Packard, and the global head of HP Labs, where he drove the company's technical vision and strategy. In addition, Mr. Wall is a member of the White House Science and Technology Council, of which he advises the president on policies regarding technology. He also held positions at Intel, including Intel Capital, where he was directly responsible for ventures and investments. Shane is an active angel investor, serving on several public and private boards. Shane, please. Okay, we'll wait for a short while. Shane is getting his deck ready. In the meantime, there's a Q&A button where you can click and ask questions. There's a thumbs up where you can actually vote for the question to be asked during the Q&A session. Okay, I think while Shane is getting his deck ready, we will move forward to introduce the next panelist, Davy Goh. David Goh is the CEO of Passion Venture Capital. Okay, David has an extensive experience in the banking industry, and in the past 6 years, he was the regional CEO with UCF Group, where he worked with several fintech companies in Singapore and Southeast Asia to expand their geographical reach and strategic alliance. So while we wait for Shane, we will let Davy start first. Davy, please.
Thank you, Tegri, for the introduction. A great Christmas month to everybody. You know, upcoming Christmas holiday coming up. Typically, I will be in overseas today, but thanks to Omicron, I'm kind of stuck like everybody else, right? And you can see the Christmas tree in the backdrop, right? Me and my team are getting to the Christmas mood accordingly. So I listened to Lou, what she have shared earlier, very impressive. You know, especially the Nano Robots. You know, as a private equity investor, I will definitely be contacting Lou later and see how we can work together and probably put some money into the fund as well, Fusion Fund. Right now, I'm going to share a little bit about the Asian market. Right, Lou has shared a lot of the content side. What I want to do is share a little bit on the financial macro side for those potential investors out there in the webinar who wants to look at the potential return much more detail, right? Let me see, do this here. Thank you, thank you. Give the essence of time, Passion Venture has been privileged enough to accumulate a lot of talents in the last several years, and a lot of my team are very wise leaders. The youngest team member in the team is actually 45. The rest are actually 50 years and above. In aggregate, the leadership team alone has about 200 years of financial sector experience. So I'm very blessed to have a great team. Let's go to the next slide. There we go. Now, I'm not sure everybody can see that. This is a color-coded slide whereby if you look at the years from 2007 to 2017, basically on the top row itself, it shows the highest return by different sectors in the VC space. You know, at the same time, so it goes from top to bottom, it decreasing, right? So the top bar with the different color coding, if you look at it from, basically I'm trying to show is that from 2011 to 2016 itself, the VC space in terms of return to investor was the highest compared to other investment type, right? So what Lou has mentioned earlier, the amount of tremendous GDP impact is actually delivered by the VC space. So for those who are invested in equity and bond, congratulations. I think for those who invest in the US market, easily you've made about 40% on the index itself from last year to this year. But for those who are not exposed to the VC space, do take a quick look, because in terms of return wise, it's pretty good. And that's what I'm trying to show. From 2011 to 2016, the highest return was actually in the VC market itself, right? I'm happy to share the slide with everyone. Right? Now, what happened in the of venture financing in Asia, but second half of 2020, it actually picked up again. So despite the COVID, the amount of investment going to venture capital actually increased in the second half of 2020. Go to the next slide. So in Q4 2020 itself, the amount of company in Asia, in terms of VC space itself, 25.2 billion was raised, over 1,400 deals accordingly. So it's a tremendous amount of capital has gone in. Again, reference back, it has a tremendous amount of economic impact, because for every dollar invested in the economy into the VC space, there's easily $5 to $6 multiplier effect. Let's go to the next one. Now, for those in Singapore who are looking at investing in startup investment itself, right? There's a bit of a dip in Singapore in terms of startup funding. It was a high of $10 billion in 2018, dropping to about $2 billion in the first half of 2020, due to COVID, right? But if you analyze it, we probably second half has picked up, so not too bad. Singapore is a financial center. A lot of investment are investing into startup and venture capital type, right? As what Lu had mentioned, there's tremendous in the US itself. The biggest market cap are all the technology companies today, and everybody's aware of that. So do look at the Fusion Fund and invested in the pretty good return between 1x, 4x over time from 2010 to 2021 over 11-year time frame. But if you look at, if you invest in the VC space, look at the amount of multiplier you've earned, especially in the last 4 years. Of course, a lot of them was driven by Zoom, Moderna Pharmaceutical, a lot of technology company, Tesla itself. So if you look at some of the company that you invest in, tremendous amount of return that you can generate versus if you invest in the public market. I know a lot of you out there are very familiar with the public market in terms of equity and bond, but do talk to some of us here, especially Lou Shane, who may be giving a better insight into the VC market for Silicon Valley. And if you're interested to look at the Asian VC, I'm happy to have a conversation. In terms of the market itself, the amount of investment, software ranked number 1 in terms of the VC. Goods and services. Next, we have the transportation and right? Biotech, for those who have done investment in Moderna and Pfizer, congratulations. Done pretty well in terms of capturing VC capital market as well, right? So space so far has delivered much better return than the public market. On that note,
for your wide-ranging presentation. Now that Shane is back on,
you gotta love it when tech hops in the middle of your tech presentation here. So, but here as well. So, and thank you, Tech, for the very nice introduction. And so certainly have an understanding of the Singapore unique culture, unique. I'll give you a perspective on the trends. I wanted to hit that for a few minutes. And these are trends that we're seeing kind of globally. Standpoint, ones we're watching from an HP and an Intel standpoint, and you're going to see some overlap. And in particular, how these emerging trends and the VC activity is changing how corporates look at things, as well as some of the unique problems that they're facing here today. So with that, let's go to the next slide. work I do with Lou here in Fusion Fund, a couple other venture capital groups. I work with a private equity as well as some of the President's Council advisors. So that may not be very sexy at this point in time, but they're being radically transformed, completely leading to complete disruptions, and that includes areas such as digital manufacturing, which digital manufacturing is really that intersection of 3D printing, where you can actually print things on demand with scalable manufacturing. So you have the chance to actually do very unique things in a variety of industries. You know, Lou referenced some nanobots, and also some healthcare areas. We'll see that coming more and more going forward. Second is supply chains, and we've certainly heard a lot about supply chains over the last year in particular. But prior to even COVID, we were seeing radical shifts in the supply chains as things like block